Good evening, my friends, and welcome to the time between times. The time when it is neither night nor day, but the sun has gone and the sky is grey. This is my first time doing this. First time I've used a live stream. First time I've gone onto the interweb to tell you a tale live on my own channel. It's quite amazing, really. Would somebody just say something in the chat to let me know that you're there? If you are there, of course. Okay, my name is Owen, and I'm a storyteller. For the last 18 months or so, I have posted tales on the Time Between Times channel. Every week, everything that I have, all my stories, have been left for you there at the Time Between Times. I've got a hi, Marcel from Germany. Guten Nacht, Marcel. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you here at the fireside. No better person to have here, listening to tales at the Time Between Times. Anyway, it's that time of year, my friends. Time when it is neither night nor day, but the sun is gone and the sky is grey. All outside there is darkness across the land. Darkness covering us all around. But here we are at the fireside. So no matter what's going on in your life, no matter what you're worried about, no matter when you turn the news on and all you hear are horrible things, just forget them for a moment and join us up the winding path through the forest. All around us, the shadows lengthen. All around us, we can see trees stretching to the sky. All around us, darkness seems to creep in. But we know the path we are going down. We know the winding path that takes us to the heart of the forest, and we take it over to the left, around the old oak, past the huge sycamore that stood there for 500 years or more, past the cave in the heart of the forest, to the Time Between Times, to the fireside. And there is the old flickering fireplace, and we sit down and we enjoy. We can feel the wood as we sit down. It is neither cold nor wet, but comfortable. The fire is flickering, spluttering, but we know it will not die, for here we are, amongst friends. Our numbers are few, but it's here we have gathered to hear tales told in a traditional way. There is warmth. There is even a hot toddy or two, for now it is almost Christmas, almost the heart of the year. I will start by telling you a tale, my favourite tale, and it's my favourite tale because it's the tale that started me on a storytelling journey. Many years ago, I used to work in the Swansea Valley, a place so dark the sun only shines there for an hour a day, a place so haunted that wherever you go, there are shadows and sinister spectres that have lived there for hundreds of years. The Swansea Valley, a beautiful, ugly place. Strange, foreboding, but oh so wonderful. And 200 years ago, this very night, the night that we sit here at the Time Between Times, there sat in an inn called the New Inn 2 of the blackest hearted men you had ever come across. Their names were Iago and Gronwy, and they were wreckers. Now, for those of you who don't know, wreckers would stand on the cliffs overlooking the sea. They would wave their lanterns, causing the ships to flounder on the rocks. They would rush down to the beach and dispatch anyone who survived and take all the treasures back to their troves, and there they would make their fortunes. Iago and Gronwy had lost more fortunes and won more treasures than anyone in this way, And 200 years ago, this very night, they sat round the fireplace in the new inn in Ystrad, a town that's hard to say, but beautiful to go to. Now, the new inn was never new. The water ran down its walls. Its thatched roof was full of holes. But there by that fireplace sat the two wreckers. They were brothers. Iago was tall and thin, with dank black hair that ran down his face. He talked in a voice like this. He always wore a tricorn hat, a big coat with a large dagger concealed inside. His brother Gronwy could not have looked more different. He was big and fat, with a great big black beard, and he talked in a voice like this. You know, my brother, said Iago, I was told by a shepherd not long ago that just up the valley here, in a place called Penwyllt, a place so dark you can't see your hand in front of your face, at this night of all nights, they will run a coach so full of gold that if you opened the door, the gold would run out like a river. It's there for the soldiers in Brecon, you see. They pay them every month. And this coach makes its winding way up the valley this night. Now, if we were to go to a place called Penwyllt, there's an old oak that overlooks the tree. If I climb the old oak, when I see the coach coming, I'll make the sound of an owl like this. Ooh, ooh. What? That's the sound of an owl? Yeah, that's an owl. You jump out in the road with your blunderbuss gun. You shout, stand and deliver. Before you know it, we're the richest men Wales has ever known. What do you think? Well, I don't know. Who told you this? Yeah, I've got my gun, but I've listened to you loads of times, and lots of things just don't happen, do they? Now, Gronwy, trust me on this one. This is going to be a great treasure for all of us, okay? Now, we go to the tree. You wait outside. I'll jump out. When I see the coach come in, I'll make the sound of an owl, right? Come on, let's go. They finished their drinks, left them on a rotten wooden table at the centre of the new inn, and started to make their way outside. And there outside was their old mare called Shadow. She was so thin you could see her ribs. And there was their rickety old carriage. They made their way up the winding valley, back and to the left, round and to the right, past the villages of Abercrave, past the village of Ynyswen, until they came to Penwyllt. The night was starting to fall. The chill was starting to come. The blanket of mist fell down. They hid Shadow and the old carriage, covering them with leaves. Now, there's a tree. I'll climb up. When I see the coach coming, I'll go, oh, you jump out, blunderbuss, stand and deliver. You understand? Yeah, I understand. But don't you let me down, right? Don't you let me down. Gronwy went over to an old cave, lay down, and was soon snoring away. Iago started to climb the tree. He climbed up, he could feel the wood against his chest, until he found a place where he was comfortable. And there he waited, and he waited, and he waited some more, still waiting. Far away he could hear the howl of wolves. Far away he could hear the growl of bears. He had almost given in, and he felt his face just drop against the hard, damp wood of the tree. And suddenly, not far away, he saw something that would change his life forever. There it is, look. There, the light of the coach. There, Iago looked again. There was one light. There were 5 lights. There were 10 lights. There were 50 lights. And these lights were not high like the lights of a coach. No, these lights were low to the ground. And Iago watched as they multiplied to 100 lights, 200 lights. And he knew that he was doomed, for carrying each of these lights was one of the Tallwith Take. Now, for those of you who don't know, the Tallwith Take are the Welsh fairies. Some of them were grotesque, ugly goblins who walked with a shuffle. Others were beautiful fairies with flowers in their hair. But these Tallwith Take were not the fairies we see in films today. These could make you go to sleep like that and not wake for 100 years. These would take away a baby and replace them with a changeling. Iago knew he was doomed, but his black heart beat even faster when he saw what they were carrying. Each of the Tallwith Take carried in one hand a light, and in the other hand a gold coin. Oh, look, they've got gold with them, fairy gold. And here I am, and they haven't seen me up in the... Iago watched as each of the Tallwith Take made their way round to a small cave entrance built in the mountainside. It was covered with stone, probably put there when the men from Rome marched these valleys many years ago. Each of the Tallwith Take stopped in front of the entrance, cupped their hands around their mouth, and called, "Castle! Castle!" before disappearing inside and vanishing, emerging moments later without the gold coins. Look. They're putting the gold in that cave. They're putting the gold in that cave. If I could have just a part of that gold, I'd be the richest man Wales has ever known. Iago watched as the Tallwith Take vanished and disappeared and dissipated all the way through the valley, their lights vanishing into the forest. Oh, look at them go. All I got to do is wake in, we go in, we know the password, we get the gold, we're gone. He waited for the last of the Tallwith Take to vanish, then climbed down from the tree, dropped to the ground. I'll give him a call, shall I? I don't have to tell him, do I? I mean, he's sleeping over there. I don't have to let him know. It could be our little secret, couldn't it? I don't have to tell him anything. Iago felt for his dagger, straightened his cap, and made his way to the entrance of the cave. My goodness, it's dark in there. Oh, wait, password. Yeah. Castle! Castle! Iago stepped inside the cave and vanished. He made his way down and to the left, back and to the right. Round and round he went, deep into the heart of the earth. He felt himself go down, plunging underneath the stalagmites, over the stalactites, or was it the other way? There he went, round and round, deep into the earth, squeezing his way down the passageways, making his way around, until he felt he would come out at the other side of the planet. Except he emerged in a room very much like this one, or where you are. A room deep beneath the ground, lit by candles. Around the walls were great hooks, and from those hooks were sacks, and from those sacks ran rivers of gold. Iago had to kneel and jump through the gold just to get into the room. He started to fill his pockets, fill his coat, fill under his hat, fill everything he had. I'm going to be the richest man anyone knows. This is unbelievable. This is... But then something happened that Iago did not expect. What he thought was just a pile of leaves, what he thought was a pile of rubbish in the corner of the room, started to shuffle and move. What Iago thought was just a pile of detritus deep beneath the earth suddenly stood up, and the rubbish fell away, revealing the skull of a horse. The skull of a horse with glowing green eyes. And now Iago knew he was doomed, for this was a Fari Lloyd, the first horse that winter killed, the queen of the fairies. To look upon the Fari means certain death. She opened and closed her mouth and spoke in a voice as old as the mountains and as capricious as the sea. Why have you come here, thief? Fari Lloyd, please, 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 I'm not a thief. I'm not a thief. My name is Iago. Look. He started to unload the coins from his pocket, dropped them on the floor from under his hat, everywhere. He put them all back. I'm not a thief. Please, you've got to... Why have you come here to my lair on this night of nights? Very. It's an accident, right? It's an accident. You don't need me to come here. Yeah. I know the password. The password is Gatl. Yes, that's the password to come in. But do you know the password to leave? You mean there's a password to get out? Yes, there's a password. Oh, Fari, please. We are 2 days before Christmas. The solstice has just passed. This is the darkest time of the year. Please, Fari, I know the password. I put the gold back. Please let me go. Just this once. Let me go. You have caught me on a good night. You've caught me on a night of nights. Go. But know this. Should anybody else come here, any mortal, then their soul will be mine. Mine, you understand? Oh, Fari, yeah, I understand. Iago was gone. Up and to the left, back and to the right, until he burst out into the valley above Swansea Port and started to run. And he would have run all the way to the sea, except a figure stepped in front of him. A figure with a gun. Where do you think you're going, eh? Where do you think you're going? It was Gronwy, his brother. You've left me sleeping in the cave. You've left me sleeping in the cave over there. You've robbed the coach. I haven't robbed the coach, Gronwy. I haven't robbed the coach. I promise you. Right? You don't have to. But then, fate, as it often does, intervened. And Iago reached his hands above his head, and a single gold coin fell from his pocket and landed on the floor before him. Well, if you haven't robbed the coach, what's that? All right. I did rob the coach. I did rob it. I robbed all the coach and I put the gold in a cave over there. All you got to do is go to the cave, cap your voice and say, Gatl. Go down and to the left. Go back and to the right. Make your way down and around until you come to a room just like this one. And there is all the gold you'll ever want. And with that, he was gone, never seen in the Swansea Valley ever again. Gronow made his way to the cave. All right, so it's in here, is it? It's dark, mine. Proper dark. What was the password? Oh, yeah. Castle! Castle! He stepped inside and vanished. He was never seen again. A few weeks later, a traveller making his way from Brecon to Ystrygynlais passed the cave entrance and saw Gronow's blunderbuss gun leaning against the door. He picked it up, looked at it, and took it back to the new inn, where it still hangs above the doorway. A few years later, an opera singer with the voice of an angel called Adelina Patti made her way to the Swansea Valley, where she wanted to build a castle with towers that stretched to the sky. Her workmen started to dig and build and wreck and create. And they broke through an old wall. And they found a chamber deep beneath the earth, with hooks all round the walls. There was no gold, but hanging from one of the hooks was a human skull. The workman put the skull in a bag, placed it under his bed. But that night, the skull screamed and screamed, until he took the skull, rode on his horse, and rode through the valley down to Swansea. And there he came to the museum with its great Greek facade, and he hammered on the door. The curator opened the door, took the skull, placed it in the darkest vault, in the deepest room. But every night when the sun went down and the time between times came into its zenith, the skull would scream and scream and scream. So finally they took it on a boat and rowed out to sea and dropped it in the ocean. And only then was it silent. But still, the Mari Lwyd wanders the valley above Swansea Port, especially at this Christmas, this Yuletide. She hammers on doors and sings her songs. The rattling of bells is heard in the night, and the clanking of the mouth of the horse. And it is said that if you ever go to Cleverest, where Adelina Patti's castle is, and listen quietly in the dead of night, you will hear a voice deep beneath the earth, crying, Gadlwch! 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 And that, my friends, is the tale of the robbers of Penwyllt. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you very much. Oh. Cheers to you, my friends, this Christmas time. My friends who have joined me at the time between times. Our numbers are few, but our joy is boundless. I hope you enjoyed that tale. It's been a strange one this year, hasn't it? But I'm so glad that I've met many of you, got to interact and speak and talk, share tales, listen to stories. Danielle Hoosh has joined us from Australia. Good morning to you, Danielle. Although here it's another time between times, late at night. Well, late-ish anyway. I'm getting older. It's getting very late now. Only 2 days before Christmas. My friends, you joined me here and I will tell you another tale. But if you're feeling more than generous, and believe me, a whiskey at this time of night, it was quite uncommon for me, really. Not a big drinker. But if you wish to buy me a coffee, I wish to say thank you for the tales tonight. I've put the link to my Ko-fi page just above there. Any donations, greatly accepted. Thank you. It's been a strange year for me as well as you. If you're not a follower, a subscriber to Time Between Time Storytelling, please click that box. I love to see the subscriber number, who can't even say it, subscriber numbers go up and up and up, showing that more tales from Wales are beaming their way across the world. I mean, unbelievable. Michelle is here from all the way across in the States. Croeso, Michelle. She had a Christmas party last week. Looked fantastic. Australia, Germany, Wales. Incredible that here you are listening to tales. So thank you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining me. So here we go. Let's have another tale. Let's have a drink of squash. I'm told that squash is purely a British thing. Orange squash. I thought everyone drank orange squash. It's a children's drink, I know, but I love it. But there we are. Can't buy it in America. Strange. Anyway, here we go. Right. I'm a storyteller. But there is one great storyteller. One who everyone knows about. One whose tales are still told around the world. One who is known as the finest of them all. And this, my friends, is his tale. Only a stone's throw from the window, not to break my window, but only a stone's throw from outside the window of my house, there once lived a witch called Ceridwen. She had a bent back and hooked hands, and she talked in a voice like this. Now one midwinter, when it was so dark that even the brightest person was dimmed by the gloom, Ceridwen sat in front of a dying fire, flicking through her bookshelf, looking for old tales that could be told. How to be the cleverest witch in the whole wide world. Take 5 spiders' legs, put them in a pot. Ceridwen made her way out to a garden, looked under a stone, picked up a spider and plucked out 5 of its legs and put them in a pot. Take 3 ants and put them in a pot. 3 ants crawled over her hand and she placed them 1, 2, 3 in a pot. Take 4 frogs' legs and put them in a pot. She went down to the stream where the frogs did play, found a frog, placed it in a pot after taking off its legs. Stir the pot, always clockwise, never anti-clockwise, always stirring, never eating, never drinking, never sleeping, for a year and a day and a year and a day. I need to steer the pot for a year and a day. Never eating, never sleeping, never drinking. I'm not doing that, no. Ceridwen put on her warmest cloak, walked out into the wind and the wintry weather which streamed around her house. The doors, all the doors in the village slammed when they saw her coming, for everyone was terrified of Ceridwen. She made her way down through the village out to the other side where the children played. As soon as they saw her wicked walk, the children ran into the forest, all except, excuse me, I've taken an LFT. One. His name was Gwion. He was tall and thin, with bright red hair that stretched to the sky. Hello, 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 Ceridwen. How are you? Gwion, come here. Come to my house. There is a pot. You must stir that pot, always clockwise, never anti-clockwise, never drinking, never sleeping, never eating. Do you understand? Yes, I understand. I'll do it. Ceridwen took Gwion by the hand and they made their way back to our house, and there Gwion stood in front of the pot and started to stir round and round and round, stirring. Days turned to weeks, weeks turned to months, months turned to a whole year, and still Gwion stirred and stirred and stirred until the night before Ceridwen was to drink the potion, she came to visit him once more. Gwion, tomorrow I will drink the potion. 3 drops of the potion, not 1, not 2, not 4, 3 drops. And I will know everything. But tonight, there will be a storm. A storm so loud it would feel like the gods are throwing boulders in the sky. But still you must stir. Do you understand? Stir away until the 3 drops are drunk by me. I know, I will, I'll do it. Gwion carried on stirring, but slowly, just at the time between times, the rain started to fall, until it hammered on the roof like thunder. And then the thunder came, far away and distant at first, but getting closer and closer, until it banged outside like drums in the sky. And then came the lightning. Far away flashes of light, coming closer and closer, until it lit up the sky like it was day. And then at midnight, directly when the clock struck 12, a huge bolt of lightning shot from the sky, lit up the sky, and smashed into the side of Ceridwen's house. The house shook back and forth. The books fell from the shelves. The pot almost tipped, but Gwion held it upright. But out of the pot flew 3 drops of the potion that landed 1, 2, 3 on Gwion's hand. There's 3 drops from the potion on my hand. What shall I do? Oh, I know. I'll drink them. Ants. Spider's legs. Frog's leg. Then something happened. It was like all the clouds in Gwion's mind vanished. It was like a hole to all the knowledge in the world opened in his mind. Suddenly, he knew every song that had ever been sung, every poem that had ever been performed, every tale that had ever been told. Suddenly, Gwion knew them all. Suddenly, he became the cleverest boy the world had ever known. Suddenly, he knew every... Hello, Ceridwen. I did not see you there. Ceridwen had walked into the hut. Ceridwen had seen everything that had happened. What's going on here? Who will... There were 3 drops that came out of the pot and landed on my hand, and I drank them. You did what? I drank them. Then you must die, said Ceridwen, as he opened a robe and pulled out a dagger and rushed towards Gwion. Now Gwion did not know what to do, but all of a sudden, all the knowledge in the world swam through his head, and he spoke in a language as old as the hills, and cast a spell, and turned into a white, loppy-haired rabbit. The rabbit ran between Ceridwen's legs and started to run and run and run. The witch span around, but also she was a witch, and she cast a spell in a language that had not been heard in this land for thousands of years, and changed into a great big black hunting dog. The rabbit run and run and run. The dog roped after the rabbit. till it came to a river. The rabbit stopped at the swirling, sliding stream, pulled up, and changed into a fish, which jumped into the water, swimming swiftly away. The black hunting dog pulled up at the stream and changed into an otter. The otter jumped in after the fish. The fish swam and swam and swam, the otter chasing behind it until it came to a lake. And then the fish jumped out of the lake and started to disappear into the air. And the otter jumped up after it, but then fell back into the water. The fish changed to a small bird, flew amongst the clouds, up and down, round and round. But then out of the water, there emerged a great eagle that flapped its wings up and down. The bird flew amongst the clouds, the eagle flapping its wings after it, and was just about to catch it in its claws when Gwion knew one last spell, and in a flash of light, he changed to a single solitary seed, which blew on the breeze round and round, up and down, and then fell down into a field full of seeds, and started to peck and peck and peck. The great eagle twirled around in the sky, and then changed into a chicken. The chicken landed in the field full of seeds and started to eat them, one after the other, getting closer, 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 closer to the seed that was Gwion. And suddenly it swallowed that seed and changed back to the witch that was Ceridwen. Nobody defeats me. I will be the cleverest witch in the world, even if it takes me another year. Nobody will. What's happening to me? What's happening to me? Suddenly, Ceridwen's belly grew bigger and bigger and bigger, until finally it went pop, and out flew a baby, which the witch caught in her hands. What is this? Hello, Mum. Oh! A talking baby. Who are you? I don't know who I am, but please look after me. Please look after me. I will not look after you, said Ceridwen, and she put the baby in a sack, put the sack over her head, and started to walk through the village, and all the doors to all the houses slammed. It was said that even the snow in the sky ceased falling. As she took the baby to a cliff top overlooking the sea and wrung the bag around her head 3 times and threw it far out to sea, where it landed with a splash. And that, my friends, would be the end of our tale. But on that night, all those years ago, floating in the sea on a small boat was a fisherman. He'd been there all day, up and down, round and round, swinging his rod out and catching absolutely nothing. I've been here all day. I've tried to catch whatever I can, but I can't. I'll give it one more go, and if I don't get anything, I'm going home. Oh, I've got something. I've got something. I've caught a sack. I've caught a moving sack. The fisherman took his knife and ripped open the sack, and inside there was the baby. Hello, Dad. Who are you? I don't know who I am. But all I know is that the witch Ceridwen is trying to kill me. Please look after me. Please look after me. Of course I'll look after you. You're a gift from the sea. How can I not look after you? The fisherman rowed back to the beach, put the baby under his coat, made his way back up through the village, hiding from Ceridwen until he took the baby into a house, put it in a cot, fed the baby, made sure the baby was warm, and pledged that night of all nights, to look after it. The baby grew to be a boy. The boy grew to be a man. And the fisherman named the baby, or the man, Taliesin, he of the silver tongue. Because Taliesin knew every song that had ever been sung, every story that had ever been told, every tale that had ever been written, every poem that had ever been performed. He knew them all. And Taliesin grew up to be the greatest storyteller the world had ever known, travelling the land north to south, east to west, up and down, into the seas, the oceans, the lands, the rivers, the woods, the marshes, wherever you went. The great Arthur King was chronicled by Taliesin, who told his tale to a brother, who told that tale to a sister, who told it to a child, who told it to their mother, who told it to a friend, who told it to a cousin, who told it to a child, who told it to another friend, who told it to me. And this night, at the time between times, the time when it is neither night nor day, but the sun has gone and the sky is grey, the time when the veil between our world and the fairy world is wafer thin, so thin that for a few moments we can just reach in, and for a few moments they can reach into us. And at that time between times, at that veil between worlds, at this Yuletide, I told it to you. That is where the greatest storyteller the world had ever known came from. His name was Taliesin, and his tales are still with us today. And that, my friends, was the story, the great story of Gwion and the Witch. Diolch yn fawr. Thank you very much. Oh, poof. Well, storytelling is hard business, my friends. Some more squash. I hope you've all enjoyed these tales told in a traditional way, but using the technology of today. This is where we can all be together at the time between times. This is where the veil between our world and the fairy world can grow thin. For just a few moments, we can share some magic. I know Christmas is only a few days away, but I would ask you all that before you go to bed, and if you get a chance, tell someone a story, tell a tale. For when you tell tales, magical things happen. For just a few moments, the shadows of the world vanish. The shadows seep into more shadows. And we get to share stories and a little bit of magic. Please keep these tales alive. Once again, as I said, if you're feeling generous, the Ko-fi address is at the top, kofi.com/Owen Staton. Any coffees, gratefully appreciated. Like an online busker at this, the darkest of nights. My friends, I am going to leave you here. I can see the darkness start to fall. I see the cold starting to come. Although for Danielle, maybe the sun is starting to rise, a new day, a new hope, a new world for her. But one we, the others, will find in the morning. Diolch yn fawr for joining me here at the Time Between Times. Please subscribe to the channel, Time Between Times Storytelling. I release a new storytelling video every week, well, most weeks. I take suggestions as well. Thank you ever so much for joining me. Merry Christmas. Nadolig Llawen. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate everything you say and all the support you give me. You know that. It was great to see you last week and great to hear from you. Danielle, diolch yn fawr o galon. Thank you very so much for sitting back and telling me lovely things here. Those make my heart sing. And Marcel, my friend, Dankeschön. Thank you very, very much again for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us here at the fireside. If anyone would like to ask me a question or anything before I go and disappear into darkness, you're more than welcome to do that. I think, well, this has been quite successful, I believe. We have all listened. We have all shared stories. We have all been here together, even though we are far apart, to listen to these stories. I let you go, my friends. I thank you for joining me. Been an absolute pleasure to tell you tales here at the Time Between Times. No star. Just finish my drink and step away from the screen. Have a great Christmas, all of you. Have a brilliant New Year. And most of all, stay safe. Michelle, I would love to do it as well. And that we will, I promise you. We will join once again around the fireplace. Maybe even one day, who knows where and who knows how, we can all sit together around the real fireside and enjoy a tale traditionally told. No star, my friends. Good night.